is Di, the bass playing mom, and I want to talk about my worst gig ever. I want to give credit to Ryan Bruce. I'll put a link up here to his video about his worst gig, and now I thought I would tell you about mine. I think I may have talked about this in a previous video. If you find it, please let me know. I cannot remember where it is or if I talked about it, but here is my worst gig. Playing on a worship team at church. I don't get a lot of away gigs, so when I'm invited to one, I get really excited and I can't wait. I've got one coming up at the end of next month, so I am very excited about it. But it also brings in a whole new thing, which is that you meet new people. And we're used to playing kind of with the same folks that we know, with the same guys in the booth that we know. Like, everything is pretty routine for us, and we have a certain standard of behavior. I know that sounds cold, but really, we expect you to be nice. That's just basic, like 101, you want to be on the team, you have to be a decent human being. Well, apparently, not the requirement everywhere. So if you can keep a count of how many rude people we run into. We're playing this away gig, it's a youth group event. The kids go out and do like acts of service all day, and then they come back and they have this great worship set and a sermon and dinner and stuff. So we have to load in early and do our rehearsal and then go down and eat dinner and then do the gig. We loaded in and decided to go ahead and set up the platform area, the stage for lack of a better term, maybe the altar in a church, I'm not sure. So we're gonna set up that stage area, and we go and we start to bring our gear in, and there's just, you know, junk left on the stage and chairs and like a podium in the middle, and so we start to move things. And this random woman comes up and stands at the base of the stage and she says, "You need to take a picture first." And we're like, "Who are you?" And she's like, "If you're gonna move anything, you need to take a picture first and put everything back when you're done." No, hi, how you doing? Hey, thanks for coming. I'm glad you're here. Welcome to our church. My name's Joanne, or whatever her name was. Nothing. Just take a picture and make sure everything goes back when you're done. There was like, "Hey, welcome. Great to have you at our church. So glad you came." There was none of that. "Let me introduce myself." Or, "Hey guys, I have a concern. My name is Becky." No, there was nothing. Nothing. She just stood there and pointed a finger and yelled at us while we were setting up. So that would be rude person count 1. We took some pictures and we got set up. So while we're setting up, we noticed that they got a brand new soundboard. They got a nice digital board. We weren't even on a digital board yet, and they had one. So we're all excited to play through this thing. Like, this is gonna be great. It was a multiple day gig. Like, we had to come back and play the next night. And so it was gonna be great because we could program the board and come back and it would be set. So we were pretty excited about the board. And so we met the sound guy and we're like, okay, so we're gonna start setting everything up. And I go to plug in my bass and notice that there's like no DI. So I'm plugging into an amp that's going into the room, but I'm not going through that new mixing board, and I'm not being broadcast out into the kids that are coming. And so then we also like go, yeah, we're gonna need a DI so that the bass can go through the board. And that's when the sound guy goes, "Oh no, we don't put the bass through the board." Really? Because we're gonna need also to mic the guitar so that can go through the board. "Oh no, we don't put the guitar through the board." I'm like, okay. And then we see you have a mic for the kick on the drum set. We're gonna want to mic the kick, at least to just put it in my monitor, because I'm the bass player, I'm supposed to play in time with this guy. I gotta be able to hear what he's playing. "Oh no, we don't mic the kick. We just only run vocalists through the house." Like, okay, so you have this elaborate board, but you don't use it. We're gonna need to use it. Like, I have to have kick. The bass has to be through the sound system. The guitar has to be. You can't mix it then. Then it's just up to me. Like, if I want to be 100 times too loud, I just turn it up. If I want to be too quiet, I turn it down. That's what the sound guy's job is. My band leader, he had brought like a very minimum band. It was him, lead vocals, electric, bass, and drums. There's no keyboard player. There's no second electric. Like, the minimum setup. And we're just like, no, we actually need to be through the house. So we got the kick drum, we set it up ourselves. We got a DI and got my bass through the house, and we got that electric guitar and then the acoustic guitar through the house, so the guy would actually have something to mix. He had 2 vocalists, so really it wasn't very many channels. So we got it to him and it was set up and ready to go. And so then it was time to go eat. So we left and we ate, you know, and giving the kids tacos or whatever. We went and ate and hung out for a second, and it was time for us to go and play the gig. So they did introductions, we were in the green room. We came out on stage, we go to play, and something's not right away. Something's not the same as rehearsal. And it just takes me like half of a song to realize that my acoustic guitarist, our leader, is like pointing at his guitar. There is nothing coming out of it. And so he's you know, wrestling with his chords, he's checking on the floor, he's making sure everything is good on his end. Everything is good. So then it's to the sound guy. So at the end of the first song, he's just like, hey, we need some help. There's no acoustic. Please get the acoustic on. Nothing. The guy doesn't even really look up. He just stays at the board. He doesn't come up to the front to make sure the connections are good. He doesn't do anything. Now we're going into the second song. There's no acoustic. So if you're keeping track, we have an electric guitar player who's playing chords, but we have no basic chord outline because I'm just playing roots and fifths and thirds and stuff. Like, I'm not playing the chord. The electric guitar player is playing chords, but not the chords to the song. He's doing the overlays and things. There is no piano player and there's no acoustic. So things start getting a little looser. And then we get to Oceans. And those of you playing worship bands, you know what I'm talking about. Oceans has a really open bridge where your singer, she just has maybe a few chords behind her, and electric guitarist, he starts to come back in and he's brilliant. Our electric guitar player, a brilliant person. However, he was playing this gig by ear, so he didn't have a pile of music in front of him, and he knew all the little electric parts he was supposed to play over, not the basic chord structure. And so when he came back in, we weren't really, you know, the bridge changes on Oceans too, right? There's one chord progression and then the second, we weren't even close. Like what I'm playing and what he's playing are 2 different planets, and we still have no acoustic guitar and there's not a keyboard. So, oh, it was not good. It was so bad. Anyway, the good thing was there was this group of kids who were really, really, really into the music, and they were singing at the top of their lungs, and they loved that song. So that pretty much got us through, but it's what I might call a train wreck. It was pretty bad. We maybe should have stopped. I don't call for stopping very often, but maybe this is the situation where you stop. We finish playing, we leave the stage, and our leader, he's not happy about how it went, and we still have another night to play. So he says, guys, come with me, and we just go sit in the back, up in the balcony. We just sit in the back. And he sits for a minute. By now it's the sermon, right? Somebody's preaching, and he's sitting and he's thinking. And he kind of gives us just a minute. And he walks down to the sound guy. And he just says, hey, I never had any acoustic guitar. Do you know what went wrong? Like, was there a bad chord, or were we plugged into the wrong channel? And he says, there is nothing wrong with my equipment. It's your guitar. Something's wrong with your guitar. And he's like, dude, I just don't think it's my guitar because it all worked in rehearsal. Like, do you know what it could have been? Okay, so he says, you are the rudest, most demanding people I have ever had to work with. Oh my gosh. We ran through the sound system. He's never dealt with anyone who ran through the sound system. Oh, rude person number 2. Our worship leader just goes, you cannot talk to me like that. Really? We have to be nice in church? He's just like, you cannot talk to me like that. I really don't want to work with you again. And he walks off. So now we just like go and wait, and the gig ends and it's time for us to load out. So we go to start loading out, and the sound guy comes down, he grabs our leader, takes him aside, and he's like, you know, dude, I'm sorry. Sorry about my attitude. My leader accepts the apology and we go home. Next day, back we come, and I'm thinking, oh, we gotta deal with this dude. And so I start to load in, and we start to set up, and it's a different sound guy. It turns out this church had more than one, and they sent the second sound guy this time because apparently previous guy quit. Next guy's great. He's awesome. And so everything is like cooking with gas, and we start to rehearse, and this man comes down across the stage, and he's like 225 pounds, full grown young man, comes up, walks up right to me, gets in my face, and he says, she has to stop playing. I'm just like, what? And he goes, it's vibrating the walls of my apartment. She has to stop playing. I'm just standing there like, what in the heck is going on? So now my leader, who's on rude person number 3, if you're keeping count, walks over to him and he says, hey, what's going on? And he's like, well, I live in an apartment next to the stage. It shares this wall right here. And every time she plays bass, I can hear it rattling my wall, so she can't play anymore. This is the part where you're just like, what planet am I on? How did I land here? Oh my gosh. So my leader, who is half my age, stands between me and this guy, and he goes, look, we have to rehearse and we have to play tonight, but then it's over. We're done. He says, and I love this, this is my favorite. It is what it is, and we're gonna play. So this big intimidating man goes and stomps off. He leaves. Now the sound guy, who's so sweet, comes down and tells us what the deal is. Their church, they house homeless people in their church, and this guy was homeless, so they gave him like a little apartment next to the stage. But because their church never plays through the sound system, it never hits the subwoofers, which are in the stage and share a wall with his apartment. Problems you don't think you're gonna have at a gig. Sharing the wall where your subs are with a guy's apartment in a church. And he says, oh, and this is the best. And the sound guy tells us, oh, he doesn't even pay rent. We let him live here for free. So I disrupted the guy who was living there for free by playing a musical instrument in a church. It wasn't even morning, it was nighttime. The rest of the night went well. Everybody's instruments made noise, so that was good. And the kids were great, thank goodness. The rest of the gig was fine. It's just, wow, what a lesson, right? I mean, there's a lesson here. It doesn't even matter if you play in a church or somewhere else, like, be a decent human. Like, you gotta be nice. And you gotta be professional, like playing through the system that you paid thousands of dollars for is professional, right? I mean, that's part of the deal, right? So do you have a story of your worst gig? I would love to hear it below. I'm sure it's worse than mine. Mine was just 3 rude people. We're just not used to that. We're nice to each other, you know? How hard is it? Here are some more story time videos that I put in a little playlist for you. Please check them out.